This is Srimati Edgecombe and I'm here with Rachel Elnaugh, and we've decided we're going to meet and chat about some of our common interests. And we've already launched into the topic of the zeta feminine wisdom, and or certainly another aspect to good business practice that we both become interested in or observe to be valuable. And Rachel, you were telling me earlier that you're about to launch a new course. Tell me more about it.
Yeah. Well, I've designed a new one-day workshop, and it's really around the material which is the basis of my new book.
Right.
And it's all about, well, the title of the workshop is How to Magnify, Market and Monetise Your Personal Brand.
Right.
And really it's about entrepreneurs whose personal brand is their business.
Right.
And it's very interesting to me because obviously my business is around my personal brand, and I do meet lots of people who are maybe on the speaking circuit, maybe they're trying to get their book published, maybe they're thought leaders who don't really understand how to market themselves and aren't maybe getting the most out of their personal brand, and certainly maybe not making as much money as they should be. So really it's the title of the book is The 7 Circles of Influence.
Interesting.
And really, it's a kind of structure based on to me, a very feminine way of working, which is you at the heart of your business, like a magnet, attracting people to you through these 7 circles. And each of the 7 circles has a different dynamic.
Right.
And there's a different marketing technique, depending on where people are in the circles. But if you can build the stepping stones, it allows people to get to know you, and then to get into a conversation with them, to make contact, and then it allows people to then migrate through your products to potentially becoming a one-to-one client and then part of your inner circle. But the idea with it is that you build up a kind of tribe, a following, which is quite intense and actually acts as your marketing department. So to me it's quite an interesting way to build an organisation, because most of the big businesses that have had huge success in the 21st century, their organisation isn't within a head office within 4 walls. The organisation includes everyone that touches the brand. And so in the same way, if you can do the same with your personal brand, it's even more powerful than if you're, say, YouTube or eBay, where all your content is created actually by third parties, if you think about it. So it's quite an interesting and a bit more feminine way.
Well, it's interesting because it strikes me that you've applied perhaps the metaphysical law of attraction, but you've combined it with some quite intelligent, systematic ways of incorporating that. And I think that's one of the things I like about you, that you do seem to manage to keep all that sharpness and intelligence, and I found that with your book, Business Nightmares. I loved it. I thought it was a fabulous book because it was so thorough and so sort of intellectually satisfying, but at the same time really warm and really accessible to you as a person. And I thought it was fabulous, and I did really get quite excited to have discovered you as a brand and as a coach, entrepreneur coach.
And Business Nightmares was quite an interesting book because it was actually very cathartic to do that book.
Of course.
And I was offered quite a big advance to do it, and I was kind of needed the money.
How could you refuse?
And sort of, and so I sort of accepted this contract, and then had to write the book. And actually having a publisher constantly saying, where are the chapters, we need to get going, we need 20,000 words from you by X, and you've got to write, your contract is to write 55,000 words. And if I hadn't had that pressure to actually do it, I don't think I would have actually written it. And it was forcing me to go through not just my own story, but also looking at the stories of the 20 other entrepreneurs that I featured in the book, but building a lot of my own stuff into it. And it was really interesting because when I actually, because I've got a very short attention span, I'm very easily distracted. I had to actually take myself away. I've got a little holiday cottage in the Peak District, and it was winter, and it wasn't always booked, so I would take myself there
Understandable with the family your size.
Yes, forced myself a sort of 4-hour session.
Yes, yes.
To just write, and it was very. And actually, what happened was that when you start doing that, you kind of get into a zone.
You do. Yeah.
And suddenly all the stuff is coming out, and you think, where's all this coming from?
That's really interesting. Yeah.
So, and when the other thing about a book is because you work it and edit it and read it so many times that when it finally gets published, you sort of don't read it again. You know, for ages.
Because it's done. Yeah.
Well, because you sort of
exhausted
yourself. And then suddenly someone will say something, oh God, I read page 260 of the book. I think, oh, what's on that page? And then, so like literally just before Christmas, I, for probably the first time in 18 months, kind of read, and I just thought, my gosh, there's so much emotion in here that even it just reminded me of where I was at that point. So I downloaded a lot into that book.
That's wonderful. Well, I think it comes across. And what about the next book? What's the writing process? Do you have a similar arrangement?
Well, I was quite lucky to meet a lady called Mindy Gibbons-Klein, she's the book midwife.
Oh, okay.
And I originally started writing a different book, but she sort of taught me about how to scope a book properly. And if I'd met her before I wrote the first one, it would have made things a lot easier.
Right.
Because basically it's about creating the concept and then creating the thought processes around that concept and then fleshing each one out. Right. A bit like a mind map.
Yes, yes.
And then once you've done the thinking, it's much easier to actually sit down and write each chapter because you've actually downloaded all
the structure,
the strands and the examples you want to include. So it's a much more sort of structured way of doing a book, and because this book is much more of a kind of workbook it's really a marketing book.
Yes.
So it's more of a sort of textbook than a kind of storytelling, which the first one was. So I'm in that process.
Sounds great, and that book is the same topic as your new course.
So basically, the workshop is taking the themes and actually working through them with people.
Right.
Yeah.
So you made an interesting suggestion, which is that we perhaps talk about my situation in relation to your one-day course. So I suggest we wind up this bit of film and then get going again.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.